everything. Sometimes Gisulk is referred to as Jiniskam, or the Great Spirit. Neither word implies gender, because it's not important whether the Great Spirit is a he or she. The Mi'kmaq people do not explain how the Great Spirit came into existence, only that Creator is responsible for everything being where it is today. Creator made everything. Naguset is the sun, which travels in a circle and owes its existence to the Creator. Naguset is the giver of life. It's also a giver of light and heat. The power of Naguset is held with much respect among the Mi'kmaq and other Aboriginal peoples. Usitqamu is the earth, or the area of land upon which the Mi'kmaq people walk and share its abundant resources with the animals and plants. Usitqamu refers to the Mi'kmaq world, which encompasses all the area where the Mi'kmaq people can travel or have traveled upon. Usitqamu was created by Creator, and it was placed in the center of the circular path of Naguset, the sun. Naguset was given the responsibility of watching over the Mi'kmaq world. Naguset shines bright upon Usitqamu as it passes around its path, and this brought the days and nights. The creation of Glooskap. After the Mi'kmaq world was created, and after the animals, birds, and plants were placed on the surface, Creator caused a bolt of lightning to hit the surface of Usitqamu. This bolt of lightning caused the formation of an image of a human body. It was Glooskap, first shaped out of the basic element of the Mi'kmaq world, sand. Creator unleashed another bolt of lightning, which gave life to Glooskap, but he could not yet move. He was stuck to the ground, watching the world go by, and Naguset traveled across the sky every day. His head was facing the direction of the rising sun. His feet were in the direction of the setting sun. His hand was pointed north, and his left hand in the south direction. Glooskap watched the animals, the birds, and the plants grow and passed around him. He asked Gisulk to give him freedom to move about the Mi'kmaq world. So it was the third blast of lightning came that caused Glooskap to become free and be able to stand on the surface of the earth. After Glooskap stood on his feet, he turned around in a full circle 7 times. Then he looked toward the sky and gave thanks to the Creator for giving him life. He looked down and gave thanks to Usitqamu for offering its sand for his creation. He looked within himself and gave thanks to Gisulk for giving him his soul and spirit. Glooskap then gave thanks to the 4 directions, starting in the direction of the sunrise and following in the sunset, east, south, west, and north. In all, he gave his heartfelt thanks to the 7 directions. Glooskap then went to explore Usitqamu to see what he might earn about where he lived. He traveled in the direction of the setting sun until he came to an ocean. He then went south until the land narrowed, and he could see 2 oceans on either side. He journeyed back to where he started from, and then continued towards the north, to the land of ice and snow. Finally, he came back to the east, where he decided to stay, because it was where he came to existence. He again watched the animals, the birds, and the plants. He watched the water and the sky. Creator taught him to watch and learn about the world. Glooskap watched, but he did not disturb the world around him. He finally asked the Creator to tell him the purpose of his existence. He was told that he would meet someone soon. One day, as Glooskap was looking upon the creations, he looked up into the sky and he saw this big bird. It was Gidbu. Gidbu swooped down and sat in front of him. "I come with a message from the Creator. You will soon be joined with your family." Glooskap thanked him for the message, and as Gidbu took off, a single feather dropped. Glooskap took up the feather, and he shouted up to Gidbu, "Thank you. I will take this feather, and I will use it to send my prayers to the Creator." One day when Glooskap was traveling in the east, he came upon a very old woman. The old woman introduced herself as Nugami. She said to Glooskap, "I am your grandmother." Glooskap asked the old woman how did she arrive in the Mi'kmaq world. Nugami said that she owed her existence to the rock, the dew, and Naguset, the sun. When she went on to explain that one chilly morning a rock became covered with dew because it was sitting in a low valley. By midday, when the sun was most powerful, the rock got warm and then hot. With the power of Naguset, the rock was given a body of an old woman. This old woman was Nugami, who came into being already very wise and knowledgeable. She told Glooskap that he will gain spiritual strength by listening to and having great respect for his grandmother. Glooskap was so glad for his grandmother's arrival to the Mi'kmaq world, he called upon Abyssnawich, a marten swimming in the river, to come ashore. Abyssnawich came to shore where Glooskap and Nugami were standing, and Glooskap asked him to give up his life so that he and his grandmother could live. Abyssnawich agreed. Nugami then took Abyssnawich and quickly snapped his neck, then placed him upon the ground. Glooskap, for the first time, asked Creator to use his power to give life back to Abyssnawich because he did not want to be in disfavor with the animals. Abyssnawich went back to the river, and in his place lay another marten. Glooskap and Abyssnawich became friends and brothers forever. Because of Martin's sacrifice, Glooskap referred to all the animals as his brothers and sisters from that point on. Nugami cleaned the animal to get it ready for eating. She gathered the hot steel sparks from the lightning which had hit the ground to give life to Glooskap. She placed dry wood over the coals to make a fire. This fire became the Great Spirit Fire, and later came to be known as the Great Council Fire. Thus the first feast of meat was cooked over the great fire. Glooskap relied on his grandmother for her knowledge, and since Nugami was old and wise, Glooskap also came to respect her for her wisdom. They learned to respect each other for their continued interdependence and continued existence. The coming of Nedawansum. One day, when Glooskap and Nugami were walking along the woods, they came upon a young man. This young man was tall and physically very strong. He had gray-colored eyes. Glooskap asked the young man his name and how he arrived to the Mi'kmaq world. The young man told Glooskap that his name was Nedawansum and that he was Glooskap's nephew. He told Glooskap that he was strong and that he could run after the moose and caribou to bring them down with his bare hands so they can all live comfortably. When Glooskap asked Nedawansum where he came from, Nedawansum said that while the east wind was blowing hard, it had caused the waters of the ocean to become rough and foamy. This foam got blown to shore on the sandy beach and finally rested on the tall grass. This tall grass happened to be sweet grass, and it held onto the foam until Naguset was high in the midday sky. At that time, Naguset gave Nedawansum spiritual and physical strength in a human body. Creator told Glooskap that if he relied on the strength and power of his nephew, he would gain strength and understanding of his world around him. Glooskap was so glad for his nephew's arrival to the Mi'kmaq world, he had called upon the salmon of the rivers and the seas to come to shore to give up their lives. The reason for this is that Glooskap, Nedawansum, and Nugami did not want to kill all the animals for their survival. So in celebration of his nephew's arrival, they all had a feast of fish. They all gave thanks for their existence, and they continued to rely on their brothers and sisters of the woods and waters and on each other for their survival. The coming of Ni Ganap de Gewiusk. One day Glooskap was sitting near a fire. Nugami was making clothing out of animal hides, and Nedawansum was in the woods getting food. Then a woman came to sit down by the fire beside Glooskap. She put her arms around him and asked, "Are you cold, my son?" Glooskap was surprised, and he stood up and asked the woman who she was and where she came from. She explained that she was his mother, and her name was Ni Ganap de Gewiusk. Glooskap waited until his grandmother and nephew returned to the fire. Then he asked his mother to explain how she arrived in the Mi'kmaq world. Ni Ganap de Gewiusk said that she was a leaf on a tree which fell to the ground. Morning dew formed on the leaf and glistened while the sun began its journey towards the midday sky. It was midday when Naguset gave life and a human form to Glooskap's mother. Glooskap's mother said that she was bringing all the colors of the world to her children. She was also bringing strength and understanding, strength to withstand Earth's natural forces, and understanding of the Mi'kmaq world, its animals, and her children to the Mi'kmaq. She told them that they will need understanding and cooperation so they all can live in peace with one another. Glooskap was very happy that his mother came into the world, and since she came from a leaf, she called upon his nephew to gather nuts, seeds, and fruits of the plants while Nugami prepared a feast. Glooskap gave thanks to Creator Naguset Usithamu, Nugami, Nedawansum, and Nigadap Degewiusk. They all had a feast in honor of Glooskap's mother's arrival to the world of the Mi'kmaq. Glooskap's life. Glooskap continued to live with his family for a very long time. He gained spiritual strength by having respect for each member of his family. He listened to his grandmother's wisdom. He relied on his nephew's strength and spiritual power. His mother's love and understanding gave him dignity and respect. Glooskap's brothers and sisters of the woods and waters gave him the will and the food to survive. Glooskap learned that mutual respect of his family and the world around him was the key ingredient to basic survival. Glooskap's task was to pass this knowledge to his fellow Mi'kmaq people so that they too survived in the Mi'kmaq world. This is why Glooskap became a central figure in the Mi'kmaq storytelling. Glooskap's departure and final teachings. One day, Gitbu came back with a message from the Creator that he and Nugami would have to soon leave the Mi'kmaq world. His mother and nephew will stay behind and look after the great fire and never let it go out. And that one day he will return if the Mi'kmaq people would need him. He told that after the passing of 7 winters, 7 sparks will fly from the fire, and they will land on the ground, and 7 men will come to life. 7 more sparks will land on the ground, and 7 women will come to existence. They will form the 7 families, which would disperse into 7 different directions from the area of the Great Fire. Glooskap said that once the 7 families reached their destinations, they would further divide into 7 groups. Each group will have their own area for subsistence, so they would not disturb each other's groups. He instructed his mother that the smaller groups would share the earth's abundance and resources that will include animals, plants, and fellow humans. Glooskap also told his mother that after the passing of 7 winters, each of the 7 groups will return to the place of the Great Fire. There, all people would dance, sing, and drum in celebration of their continued existence in the Mi'kmaq world. Glooskap continued by saying that the great fire signified the power of the Great Spirit and also the power and strength of the light and heat of Nagusat, the sun. The great fire also held in strength of Usithamu, the earth. Finally, the fire represented the bolt of lightning which hit the earth from which Glooskap was created. The fire is very sacred to the Mi'kmaq and is the most powerful spirit on earth. In honor of Nugami's arrival to the Mi'kmaq world, Glooskap instructed his mother that 7, 14, and 21 rocks would have to be heated on the great fire. These heated rocks, or grandfathers, will be placed inside the wigwam covered with hides of moose and caribou or with mud. The door must face the direction of the rising sun, where there should be room for 7 men to sit comfortably around a pit dug in the center of the lodge, where up to 21 rocks will be placed. 7 alders, 7 wild willows, and 7 beech saplings will be used to make the frame of the lodge. 7 men representing the 7 original families will enter into the lodge. They will give thanks and honor to the 7 directions, and they will pray to continue to live in good health. The men will pour water over the grandfathers, causing steam to rise and the lodge to become very hot. The men will begin to sweat up to a point that they will become almost unbearable. Only those who believe in the spiritual strength will be able to withstand the heat. Then they will all come out of the lodge full of steam, shining like newborn babies. This is the way they will clean their spirits in honor of Nugami's arrival. Before entering the sweat, the 7 men will burn sweetgrass to honor the 7 directions, but also to honor Nedawansam's arrival to the Mi'kmaq world. The sweetgrass must be lit from the great fire. Glooskap's mother came into the world from a leaf of a tree, so in honor of her arrival, tobacco, the mawi, would be made from bark and leaves and would be smoked. The damawi will be smoked in a pipe made from stone, with a stem made from a branch of a tree. The pipe will be lit with sweetgrass from the Great Spirit fire. The damawi represents Glooskap's grandmother, nephew, and mother, and the smoke will be blown in 7 directions. And honoring Nugami's arrival to the Mi'kmaq shall have a feast or a meal. In honor of Nedawansum, they will eat fish. The fruits and roots of the trees and plants will be eaten in the honor of Neganapdege Uisku. And that was the Mi'kmaq creation story.